Hey guys, so today I'm going to film the Multilingual Child Tag. I was tagged by Yami. They're interesting questions and I'm just going to go ahead and be reading from my phone. Aria is sleeping in the back and I have the little one here. She's kind of nursing on and off. So if you hear any noises, that's kind of where it's coming from. But the first question is, how old are your children? I have two daughters. My eldest daughter is Aria. She's 19 months old. And my youngest daughter is Audrey. She's right here. She is 5 weeks old. So or 6 weeks actually now. So she's 6 weeks old. So they are kind of young, but we do have kind of a language system built or an idea of what we want to do as they grow. So I'm going to be able to answer these questions more of a future plan. You guys get the idea. The second question is, what languages are they learning? I think she just woke up. Basically, our plan is to focus and only speak Spanish at home because we know as soon as they get in school, they're going to learn English immediately and pick it up instantly. Both my husband and I came at a young age, around 8, 9, 10 years old, to the States. And we knew really not, well, at least I didn't really know a word of English. So we learned it really, really quickly. We did have to go to ESOL and stuff like that. But eventually I started losing my Spanish. I would say he started losing it a little bit as well, not as much as me. But we both kind of eventually lost really the dominant language that we had, the first language that we learned. So that's something that we really want to focus on. We don't want them to lose the Spanish, so we are very strict on only speaking in Spanish to them. Between him and I, we speak English, so she might grasp some words here and there, but to her, we only speak to her in Spanish. So far, the little tiny one, we don't really speak to her yet. You know, she's not learning any languages per se right now, but it's going to be the same plan, just strictly Spanish, because once she hits school, she's going to learn English, and then when she comes home, she's going to try to talk to us in English because we know English. But we're going to be very strict in speaking in Spanish and forcing them to only speak Spanish in the house. So once they're home, once they're at school with their friends, they can go ahead and speak whatever they want, but at home, we want to be very strict with the Spanish before they lose it like we did, basically. The third question is, how do they speak each language? Is there one that dominates? So obviously right now, Spanish dominates just because we only speak to her in Spanish, but she has picked up a few words here and there, not that we've taught her, but just that she picks up. For example, again, she's not speaking, she's only 19 months, but she does say little phrases or words, but it's all in Spanish. But she'll say, like if she wants you to pick her up, she'll say up instead of arriba. You know, she'll say it in English just because my husband said it one day and that stuck. And she'll say a few words in English, but it's mainly, her communication is mainly in Spanish. I would say she definitely dominates the Spanish language, and that's what we want to focus on. So hopefully when Audrey grows up, she'll also be kind of staying in the same system. The fourth question is, why do you choose to teach them these languages? So I know eventually they're going to just have both languages, and it's just such a great thing to have just hopefully they dominate both language equally so that they don't lose their Spanish and that they're just going to get the English language super easy. Having more than one language is just beneficial. I don't think anybody can argue against that, even though some people may think that it may confuse the kids or they may delay their language just because they're learning too many languages, but that is not the case. I've done some research and read articles and stuff, and between the ages of 6 months and right before puberty, kids can learn multiple languages without having any issues, any confusion, anything. So obviously I wish we had more languages that we can teach them, but we only know Spanish and English, so that's the only other language we can teach them. It's just really good to have, regardless of what path they choose. You know, if they want to be a lawyer, or they want to be a teacher, whatever it is that they want to be, having an extra language will only benefit them in the future. The fifth question is, did you encounter any difficulties in their language? Again, she's kind of too young to really see any difficulties or anything like that, but so far none whatsoever. She communicates very well, she's learning pretty rapidly, and they're just sponges. They just, whatever you teach them, they're gonna just take and learn, and it's just, I think we just have to take advantage of this point in their lives where they're just like taking all this knowledge and information and just storing it in their brains. So we have to just push as much information as possible. 6, how are they learning? Basically, my husband and I, whenever we have a chance, we sit with her and we teach her, we read to her a lot, and we don't have access to a lot of Spanish books. So what we do is even the English books, we'll translate it ourselves in our brain. So when we're reading to her, we'll just read in Spanish. And that's basically how we're teaching her. Whenever she wants something, we say, okay, ¿quieres agua? We don't say, do you want water? We say it in Spanish. So that's basically how we're teaching her. 7 is, did you as a parent encounter any difficulties so far? Again, not really. Maybe she's too young to really see any difficulties at this point, but so far, no difficulties. 8, what advice would you give a parent considering multilingual path? Definitely just go for it. It will definitely only benefit the child in the long run. So just do it. Give them as much languages as you possibly can. If you and your family know 6 different languages, just try to teach them all of them, because that's great. I know there's a system, I think it's OPOL, and it's basically one person, one language. If your husband knows French and you know Spanish and you both know English, just talk to them in your own language. So your husband can talk in French, you can talk to them in Spanish, and they'll get both languages. They're not gonna get confused. So the only advice I can give you guys is just go for it. It's definitely a positive, and you're not gonna confuse the kid. It's a great thing to have. And the last question is, what challenges do you see ahead? The only thing I see as a challenge is maybe at the beginning they might have issues maybe going to ESOL, or just right at the start with the English, just because we're teaching them everything in Spanish. So when they start school, maybe they'll struggle a little bit with going to ESOL and stuff. But the way I see it, my husband did it, I did it, and we both speak perfect English now. So I think that they'll both get both languages really, really early in life, especially because they're here right from preschool. We started probably in the later end of elementary school. So that's it for this tag, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I will link Yami's channel down below. She's the one that tagged me in this tag. If you guys want to do it, go ahead and do it. And I tag Mommy to Avery and Phoenix, I think is your new name. I also tag Wanna Be Mommy to Be, even though I think Yami also tagged her, but if you haven't done it yet, do it. And who else can I tag? Anybody else who wants to do it. Bye, guys.